What's up, everybody? I want to take you in to a dirty, insert bleep, interior. It's another nasty one. Well, guys, what else is there to say? Dog hair, stain, dirt, dog hair, dirt, books. Where do you start? Today's episode, and if you could subscribe, there's a hawk in the corner, that'd be amazing. Today's episode is like basically, where do you start? How do you know where to begin when it comes to an interior detail, especially if it's a nasty one? I tend to believe in a system and a process, and I want to walk you through my process. It may or may not be right, but it's what I use to sort of just take out too much critical thinking and just help me do one thing at a time. Look, I do believe in critical thinking. In fact, I think it's a huge part of being a successful detailer. But first, I just like to get a sense of what we're looking at, right? I see lots of stains here, and had this been here, you would have seen just how grimy that is, right? So I'm looking at a couple of things, like this leather is gonna need to be steamed. We're gonna need to use a steamer extensively, while also carefully to take care of all the dirt we see on the leather. But this is a vehicle with a lot of dirt and dog hair as well. So it's like, what approach do I go for first, right? I know a lot of extensive steaming needs to happen. These floor mats need some love. There's a lot going on. So the first thing I typically do is just take everything out of the vehicle, right? If you see things, I think it's better to put things in a bag. I'm really bad at this, and I'm sure this does not look good. My customers, I'm sure, would appreciate if I had a dedicated bag with a logo, and I'm kind of thinking of doing that, to be honest with you. It's one of those things, it's on the to-do list. It hasn't happened yet, but I know it'd be a great idea. So I'm just gonna put everything kind of over here for now. And you know, it's amazing if your customers can actually empty their car out first. That's where communication comes in. And if you can communicate with them in a nice but respectful way. Oh, do you guys see the dog hair on the headliner as well? Yeah. So if you can communicate with them in a nice way, take this cord out here. But hey, it'd be great if you kind of removed everything from the vehicle. That'd be awesome. So the first thing I do is just put everything in one spot. This is not ideal, but at least if it's in one spot, I'm not going to lose it. So at this point, I have my steamer going to be efficient. I've done a video on just, that's a quick, time-saving tip. The next thing you do is okay, it's time to remove these floor mats. These aren't gonna do any good here. I like to say, try not to get any of that dirt spilled in the car. Hopefully you can just kind of, and then I do like a dedicated spot for this. For now, I'm just gonna put it on the ground, but I do like to put those on little mats. For the time being though, I just wanna move quickly and work efficiently. So let's get these floor mats out of here. Boom, put that there. My steamer's ready to go if I wanted to steam these. I like steaming things first, but I find that my attention to detail is best when I'm starting. And I feel like it's a waste to focus too much on these floor mats because sometimes they're just never gonna look perfect. They're gonna look faded even when they're clean. I think in the wintertime, especially when the carpets aren't gonna dry very fast, the best thing I can do after removing everything from the vehicle is focus on the carpets because those are gonna take the longest to dry. And I wouldn't blame you for thinking, why should I listen to Nick? He looks pretty young. There's a lot of guys on the internet who are doing this already. And I'm gonna just tell you my selfish reason is that when you teach something, you learn it better. When I did a video about how to clean interior windshields perfectly, I had an idea of how to do it and I did it every time. But once I did that video and I went to the nth degree as far as this is how you're gonna get them perfect, and then I watched it a bunch more times, after teaching it in the video, editing the video, putting it online, watching it a few times, trying to be like, is this really legit? And be like, yeah, I think it is. I feel like I've locked in that process for myself and it's made me much better at Windows. So I'm doing this selfishly to continue to improve my process. But the best part about it is there are a lot of people doing this online and we're all trying to improve every day. Keep learning and maybe I can be part of that process with you. Most important step. Got a vacuum. almost 80% of the stuff in carpets won't come out with the chemical or with water, which means the best way to get it out is dry and right at the beginning. Guys, I've been vacuuming this for way too long and I forgot about this back compartment here. Oh boy. Hope you're having a better day than I am. But we're gonna make this happen. Here we go. Dog hair stone, a couple of brushes, vacuum. Here we go. Oh my God, we're back again. Here we go. Pet hair from hell, whatever. It's not that bad. It's actually coming out quite nicely. Some people like the stone, which is what I'm using. Some people prefer to use rubber nitrile gloves to work the hair. That can work well too. There are rubber brushes with rubber bristles. Whatever you gotta do. Let's get the hair out, let's get the dirt out. Almost done. Well guys, this interior is kicking my butt, but let me show you. I did a very thorough pre-vacuum. Obviously the leather and vinyl is still nasty, but as far as a pre-vac, that took a lot longer than I wanted it to. It was a lot of work. And now we're just gonna spray down the carpets. I'm using a product called Clean 02 as my pre-spray, just because once these carpets were sort of like free of a lot of the dry soil, I'm not super concerned about them being impossible to clean. So I don't think I need to hit this with anything harder than a nice in-cap product. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and shampoo the rest of the carpets here, and then we'll take it from there. All right, now it's time for some carpet extraction. Here we go. All right, right now the focus is trying to get these carpets dried most quickly. In the summertime, I would probably start with the floor mats, right? It's easy, you've got your hose, no big deal. Those will dry pretty quickly. But because carpets take so long to dry in the wintertime, I've got, I think, 3 air movers in here. That one's actually directional, so it comes this way. And these carpets are still wet. So that's been going for about a half hour. I did the carpets, and now they're just drying. I just did this panel to clean it up as well. Try to get in here and clean this seat, but still some cleaning love marks. I think that could just take a while to dry. All this is pretty fresh, but making a little bit of progress. The carpets just now need to dry. Now we're gonna go for the leather and vinyl. I'm gonna do the floor mats last, just because they're hard to do in the winter, so I like to set my expectations low. And I think clean is better than perfect, especially when it comes to those rubber floor mats. This is where my version of, steam and all-purpose cleaner kind of comes in. I first like to wet the panels, and I like to get them nice and wet because I've got a couple ounces of rinseless wash in there, like American Detailer Garage Wipeout. And so I like to have it sit on the panel for a little bit. And mixed with that is actually an all-purpose cleaner. So normally I have a soft bristle brush for this, but I'll just hit it with a slightly more aggressive brush to make sure. We want to get it quick so there's no streaks that form on the panel. Usually I'd use a softer detail brush, but at the moment I want to start brushing this stuff because we don't want streaks. We want to try to prevent streaks at all costs. Now, instead of going right to steam, I like to wipe it dry and kind of see what it looks like. And then from there, once you've done a dry wipe, you can get a sense of, okay, I've got some nooks and crannies that are still gonna need to be blown out. But where are my problem spots? You just go for it with the steam. So I'm using this in lieu of an air compressor today. Getting the nooks and crannies. Always moving quickly. Always moving quickly. Never let a steamer dwell on vinyl, plastic, or leather. This is a dangerous method. But if you're surgical about it and you're constantly moving the steamer, the potential for human error using this method is pretty high because your steamer tip is so close. Your steamer tip is just so close to this leather and vinyl that if you accidentally hold it for too long, that can certainly be a problem. Well, the air movers are on in full force. I've pretty much steamed and wiped down most of the leather, most of the plastics. We're getting pretty close here. And I've actually just turned the car on because the carpets aren't drying as fast as I want them to be. So we're focusing on getting the carpets totally dried for the customer before we go. Wiping down a little bit of leftover gunk like this that maybe I already got, but that could have been from my equipment knocking up against it and being just a smidge muddy, who knows. But really trying to focus on the spots that you might miss. Tops of seats. For my wintertime detailers out there, the reason I went with the carpets first, you can see how wet those still are. These have been on kind of off in different areas for about an hour now, so I've got the heat going in the vehicle. I'm going to close all the doors except for the trunk, and in fact, I may focus just specifically on that area because that's extremely wet. So now I've got the heat blasting on the floor mats in there, which will definitely go to the rear seats as well. You do want a place for some of that moisture that's evaporating to go, so I've left the trunk open. So it's not going to get too hot in there. It's actually not as cold as you might think it would be today, being wintertime. Now I'm going to use my steamer. Now I'm going to get these floor mats, and the reason I started with the carpets is they are so slow to dry in the winter. I like to give myself as much time drying them as possible. And now it's time for the floor mats. You can hear my Harbor Freight Predator generator going in the background. Got a video on why I love that generator and what else you can use. I can post that up below or up above. So I'm just gonna try to get this floor mat nice and sudsy, let the chemicals do some of the work here. This is where it's nice to just have water to spray off that residue and then get to what's actually still dirty. So this is kind of the victory lap. I mean, I haven't done the windows yet, but it's kind of nice. You know, the carpet's drying out. It's not totally dry yet, but it's getting there. And we're just finishing off the job as the air movers and the heat continue. Well, this interior's been kicking my butt, but they're about dry. Just vacuum this. We'll just have to get back there and vacuum that and call it a day. Well, you guys, let me take you in here. It's looking pretty clean. Let me turn the camera around and show you the final results. And here you go, guys. Knocked over a bottle. What do you guys think? Gotta vacuum up a couple things over there. Oh, I'm exhausted. Whew. Okay, this is the interior. I usually don't put a dressing on there. I did here. It looks a little oily. I just felt like this particular interior gets so beat up that it needed a little bit of love. So I'm gonna kick this forward here, and you guys can see this back area. You guys can see under here. Oh my goodness. Getting too old for this. We got that done. Boom. Boom. Oh, okay. I'd say this interior is done. The windows are done. Let's go home.